Just briefly, because my problem is I too fulsome to answer the question, so okay. But think about this. If the Lord Almighty came down and said you could do one of two things. You could have the perfect early education system or the perfect post-high school education. Which would you pick? Bingo. Now I think we can do both, but let's think of it first. What I've done is I've taken a look. And I've been deeply involved in education policy. By the way, if I didn't support education, I'd be sleeping alone. My wife is literally not today because it's Sunday, but my wife literally teaches and has been teaching for over, well, she's not old to teach over 40. No woman in my family is over 50. But my wife's been teaching for a long, long time. She all during the vice presidency taught 15 credits a semester at the community college. She has 2 master's degrees and a doctorate degree. And she's a really, I'm Joe Biden's husband. But all kidding aside, what happens is that if you take a look, we have to make one change that I've been pushing for a while, and we can get it done. If we just were to take what they call Title I schools, that is schools in areas where they have very low tax base. I mean, they don't have much of a tax base to draw from, I should say. And they're poorer districts. We now have a thing called Title I, where we spend $15 billion a year in those Title I school districts in rural and urban America. And we use it for special purposes. I would increase from $15 billion a year to a total of $45 billion for a year. And we can afford it. I lay out exactly how I pay for each of these without raising anybody's middle income taxes. And what we would do with that is 4 things occur. And all your great universities in this state will point it out. They've done studies on this as well. Number 1, it will allow for teachers to make competitive salaries in those schools. Teachers are the lowest paid 4-year graduates from schools. And they're the single most important element of our society because these are all our kids. These are the kite strings that lift our national ambitions aloft. They're not somebody else's kids. They're our kids. And so what happens is, teachers now, we're 115,000 teachers short in America. If we do not make a significant change in making teacher salaries more competitive, we're going to be over 500,000 teachers short because guess what's happened? The baby boomers are leaving teaching and young people are not getting engaged. They're not becoming teachers because they start off graduating from school with a degree in education and they make 26% less than anybody else than the social workers, which my daughter has a master's degree in social work from the University of Pennsylvania. And my wife is a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. But the point is, that's number 1, to attract good teachers into all schools. Number 2, if we do this, we can put every single child aged 3, 4, and 5 in school, not daycare, school, go to school. And that does 3 things. Your universities in this state point out that increases by over 50, don't hold me the exact, 56, 57%, the prospect they'll go through all the way through school, including high school, without getting in trouble, and will be drugs and or crime. And in addition to that, we qualify to go beyond high school. It just seems to me it's overwhelmingly of interest that happen. Number 3, the fact is that so many single women, and I was a single dad for 5 years, so I understand, believe it or not. I understand what it is to be a single parent raising 2 kids. And here's the deal. It would allow women to go back to work earlier because they'd be able to have kids in school and they have the cost of having any kind of after-school care is significantly larger than having full-time child care, which in a major city like Boston or New York or Philadelphia is about $22,000 per child. Thirdly, it would also allow us to bring back into the schools what doesn't exist now, school psychologists. We have 1 school psychologist for every 1,507 kids in America. That's way out of whack. And what we're learning from, as we're learning so much more about how the mind works and how things function, we're finding out that Drug abuse is not a consequence of, mental illness is not a consequence of drug abuse. Drug abuse is a consequence of mental illness and mental deficiencies. And they're able to be spotted when children are 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And it doesn't mean you institutionalize children, it means you begin to work on what the deficiency is. And so we need more school psychologists, school nurses, and we need social workers in our schools. Because how many of you teach? Raise your hand. Every single problem in the home, but think about it, every single problem in the home comes from the school. So we don't expect you just to teach how to read, write, add, and subtract. You got to deal with all the social dilemma. I substitute taught during law school, to pay for law school. I drove a school bus during the summer. You can know who the kid's in trouble when you drop them off at the bus and there's no one there. You know what's happening. But you can direct people, not to take away kids, but to be able to give them some direction and help. And so there's so many things we can do for very little, relatively speaking, money. And that's why I would work very hard. And I believe I can get that passed within the first 6 months of being elected President of the United States of America. And folks, it will change the way in which the trajectory kids are on. And it won't be based on your zip code or whether or not your kids went to college, whether your dad or mom went to college or read or write or anything, knew how to read, write, or how to subtract. And it's overwhelming in all of our interests that happened. Overwhelming. There's much more to say, but I've already told you too much because everybody says, Joe, you answered the question too thoroughly. I apologize. But if you have more questions, I'll happy to try to answer it after it's over. Let me go to somebody.